Mhm. Welcome back.
I'm just being mean
Never,
now.
we're never not gonna laugh now. Whenever I open audience, I'm sure you've noticed that I can't do it smoothly. I can't do it without making Lisa laugh. Um, Welcome back. This is the things we know. Today is we're gonna talk about a big one. It's how to ask for what we want. How to ask for what you want, right? And what's even more challenging, once you get it, how to receive it.
Mm,
Because those are two different things.
yep.
And it's something we've both seen come up so often with clients. And I mean, frankly, myself, but with clients and definitely raising young adults. I think it's a topic that it's needs more attention than we ever probably assumed it would.
Yeah. I mean, again, we're going to dig into both sides, the asking for what you need and then receiving. And those two things can also be separate, right? You might ask for what you need, but I'm curious around, do you receive even when you haven't asked for something? Like, do you receive when somebody
Mhm.
gives you a compliment? Do you receive when somebody tells you you're really good at something, or do you deflect? But I like that this is following up on last week's episode around the birthright of needing. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, I think
Yeah.
this will be an interesting topic.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, too. And I think if we can, if we have time, I want to touch on when you're asking, like, how do we not diminish ourselves and apologize, like, how to really boldly ask for the whole piece and not just
Yeah.
a crumb. And then dive into why, when we actually get it, we struggle with receiving it. I'll never forget our coach friend of ours saying to me, it's really not a big deal if, when we would coach students and some of them would come in like, I'm going to make $1 million. And, like some of them had these really big plans. And she said, actually, I think any of that's possible. It's just we have to work on their ability to receive it. Like, do they
Mm.
really deep down believe that they can do it and then get all the blocks out of the way, and then like where will all that go, right? So whether
Was
it's
that JD?
imposters, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
whether it's imposter syndrome, feeling unworthy, whatever it is, we block ourselves from embracing it. So yeah, all these things we want to touch on.
Yeah, there's a lot here. Um, so let's talk a little bit around what are the steps that make asking perhaps easier, but certainly more effective.
Yeah, yeah, I think before, I think it's just super important to know what you want, right? Like I
Yeah.
think that that's a big piece of you and I and what we talk about that we go over with our clients. They sometimes hire a coach when they think they know what they want, right?
Yes.
Like a great example too, because we both did a lot more health coaching back in the day. People think they want to lose weight.
Yep.
They think that's what they want. And a good coach is going to actually dive deeper on that and not just go, let's hit the ground running, let's get you losing weight.
Yep.
That's a different type of coach. Like that could be, like somebody who's leading a group to do that. But truly, okay, let's back up. Why do you want to lose weight? What's important about that? What will unfold if you achieve that goal? And so often we find out that, you know, they think they want to lose weight because that's kind of what society thinks they should probably want. But what
Mm.
they really want is to just be at peace or feel energetic or, like feel more confident. They like there's the self-love, self-acceptance, self-confidence piece is what they truly want, but they're kind of afraid to ask for that. They don't even know how to identify that. And sometimes like that isn't even what they want. They kind of want to be stronger or something like that. So really important to know what they want. The clarity that makes all the difference um, when you ask for it is huge, right? Because you can't ask for what you want or say what you want and start going for it unless it's truly what you want.
Yeah,
And you can, but it's going to be
well,
a waste of
I
time.
think it's good. Yeah, I agree with you, and I think also there's the piece around anchoring, right? So when you do, when as health coaches or even as life coaches, one of the first things we do when we talk to our clients is find out, okay, why are you hiring me? Like, what is it? What do you want? What's your desired outcome? And I think it's just human nature to kind of go with like low hanging fruit. So, whether it's weight loss or, happiness or more money or whatever it might be, they do that really sort of uh, generic answer. And then when you dig deeper, that clarity comes through, and it is also easier to follow through because you are super clear. When it's very generic and big, that in and of itself makes it hard to follow through with what you're accomplishing, because it's just, I want to lose weight. Okay, how like what to what end? And until you can get down to the like sort of the nut of it, it's hard to anchor in and be able to do the things when it's tough.
Yeah, definitely.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And also like, I mean, there's the, so then, okay, so then you get to that place. Okay, I do know what I want. Then
Mm-hmm.
you got to ask for it, right?
Yep.
So then you have to like be confident in what you're asking for
Yep.
and not diminish it. Like, I had a client who really, 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 she's on a board outside of her job, and she really like had this vision for, just to grow professionally and personally, and just had this desire to take over a fundraiser. And it was a big deal. It was a huge, huge goal. And I had some experience with that. So she wanted me to work on that because that was my previous career. I used to do a lot of that. And she had a perfect vision for increasing revenue, for making a bigger impact, bringing in more people, all of that. She knew that, I knew that. But when it came to ask for it, she chickened out. Like
Mm.
after everything we rehearsed, and she just sort of added her name to a list and ended up being the helper who did everything, but didn't have the leadership role. So she didn't, she like went and asked for crumbs instead of the whole piece, right? Or the whole pie. And I think, oh man, like what is the work we need to do so that next time you actually the experience of that really did teach her, and she went at work, asked for a promotion after that, and it really did, like she almost needed to go through that to experience
Mm.
how she limited herself.
Yeah.
But truly, like, the asking is where she almost started to like back up and apologize or diminish herself, and it wasn't fear of not doing it well, it was more just like really having the practice of feeling worthy of asking.
Well, and the problem then lies in, it doesn't matter if she knows she can do it well. If anybody goes to do the ask and you're sort of mealy mouthed about it, and I mean, but we don't have to, but then the person you're asking loses confidence that you can do what you say you're going to do. So
Yeah,
it's not really on the other person if you can't come through with a really strong ask, because they're only experiencing how you're asking. And if you're asking
totally.
with this like wobbliness, then they're going to jump to the conclusion that you don't know what you're talking about. You can't actually fulfill this. So the
Mm,
confidence piece, and around that, it's really, I mean, you know me and all and the confidence code, like you have to be willing to hear no, right? I mean, because I
yeah,
think that's what it comes down to. We, and women in particular, right? We don't want to feel like we failed. And so that idea of like asking and somebody saying no, like the thought of it before you even do it, like you feel the hurt in your heart, you know. And perhaps you had experiences where you've asked for what you needed and been told no, or been dismissed. And so you got to overcome that experience that has led to this belief and just kind of go all in again.
totally, totally. I love this because it just reminds me so much of, you know, got the amount of times you and I have talked with students who are so afraid to put themselves out there. And it's like, there is some, I think it's with network marketing, but there's some great books and teachings out there about going for no, like go for as many
Mm-hmm.
no's as you can this week, because it is going to help you hone your message, get more confident in what you're offering or asking or selling or, or offering. And the more no's you collect, the more confident you become in how you do it and not taking it personally. It is not about me. What I'm doing is figuring out who my audience is. So a no doesn't mean that
Right.
I'm crap. A no just means like we're not the right fit. Um, I mean, it would be so great if we could apply that to dating. That feels really personal, but like with work or with projects or things you're really trying to grow in, you're right. Like absolutely getting comfortable with no and understanding, how to keep proceeding until you get the right fit, until you get the right yes, is so important. Such a big part of asking, because you're not unsuccessful at asking if you get a no.
Correct. Yeah, that
You
is not a
are
failure. Yeah.
right. Asking is like as a form of respect for the person that you're asking and yourself. It's just saying, hey, here's my case. I want to be considered for this. And here's what I'd love, from you. I can accept a no.
Well,
But I really, really hope you give me a yes, because I know I can do it.
and I think, but if you come in with that kind of confidence, and of course, again, as women, we worry about being pushy or being a bitch, all the things that the patriarchy has imposed upon us and conditioned us to believe. And again, we've all experienced it, right? But if you come in with that kind of confidence, chances are the no will also be softened. If you come in all again with a little sort of wobbliness and like, I'd really like to do this, but I'm not,
Mm.
it's going to be a hell of a lot easier for the person saying no to just be like, no, I don't think this is the right fit. Whereas if you come in with like this plan and confidence, there might be some more explanation of like, I really appreciate your ask. I will keep you in mind for the future. It doesn't fit here. Like you might get more information to your point that helps you hone your ask in the future or whatever it might be. But I think the no is not going to be as sharp if you come in with confidence as
So
it will
true.
be if you come in mealy mouthed. And part of it is, I don't know why I keep using that 1960s phrase, Amelia. That's
I
what I was
like it.
thinking of. But if because you're also kicking yourself, when you
So
get
true.
that no, and you didn't go in, strong, you're kind of like, oh, I should have, and then it's just spirals.
Yes, and it's true. Sometimes you won't. They will. You might make an impression. You might not get the yes, but the next time you might be considered. Um, you started to go there, so I want to hear some more. Like I would love for you to share your thoughts on how people can be more assertive in asking for what we want. I feel like you have good tips for that.
Well, I mean, to me, there's a couple of things, and again, I just harken back to the confidence code 100%. We've talked about it before. Someday we should probably just do a whole pod on that. Confidence code, Caddy K, Claire Shipman came out in 2014, I think, originally, and at the end, it gives 10 ways to be more confident. Because the premise is, are we born this way? Can we learn it? And both are true. Some people are born that way, some people learn it. You might be born that way, lose your way. When we hit puberty, girls get risk averse. So then you got to build this back up. And so it's fail fast. Go in big, ask for what you want, recognize that you may not get it, but that, as you just said, that's not the failure. A no is not a failure. It's a learning experience. The other ones that I always really like is if you are sort of feeling that sense of, oh, I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to this. I don't want to I focus on if you ask for this. So like let's assume, go back to your client. If she got on that board, what could have been true for the people that experienced that fundraiser that they didn't get to experience? So that's focusing on the we. If you can't come
Hmm.
at it from what you need, think about, how will this serve others if I get what I want? So focusing on the we, not the me. And then the other one, I mean, there's 10 of them, but these are the three that always stand out. And I think it's because you and I see it so often. The other one is, there's never the perfect time. Women want all our ducks in a row. We want to make sure, I'll do it when this, it happens. There's no such thing. Our ducks are never in a row. Have you seen ducks? They're always all over the fucking place. It's like herding cats, so it's like, you just got to do it. And whatever you get out of it, you get out of it, but this
Totally.
waiting till the perfect time. And then I guess the last one, and this I don't think this is in the confidence code. I learned this one a long time ago, is don't let yourself down. So if you say, again, we'll use your past client as an example. I'm going to go in and I'm going to ask for what I want, and then she doesn't. She's just let herself down. So she has
Uh,
just cut her confidence off at the knees. And now she's
mhm.
got to have to rebuild that up. So every time you don't do what you say you're going to do, you might think, oh, nobody knows, nobody cares. You care. You're listening. You are hurting yourself physically, like confidence wise, every time you don't do what you say you're going to do.
Mm. Yeah, I'm thinking of someone in particular, a friend of mine who was like, I chickened out, and and it was actually, we're talking a lot about professional settings, but this was in a relationship, like asking for, what I want, the kind of communication I want. I chickened out. And it was like, okay, well, you have other chances.
Yeah.
Like, how can you show up for yourself the next time? And one thing, and you may have touched on this already, but it's like visualize the outcome that you want.
Yeah.
Because that's what we do as coaches, is like, what will unfold if you get what you want? If you get this thing you desire, if you ask for it, you go for it, if you accomplish this, then what? Visualize that. What's it going to look like and feel like and smell like and taste like? Like, really put yourself there. Because when you really can experience what that feels like, it's so much easier to like actually get there.
Yeah.
It is, and we're going to get into that, right? Like when you're like, oh, I want this, but if you really didn't picture what you were going to do with it once you got it, sometimes that backs up and creates the block before you even ask. So it's like, you got to take yourself there. You got to take yourself into the future and say, okay, I want this. What am I going to do with it?
Yeah, that's why I love, love, love future pacing. I think we've talked about this in the
Mm.
past, but that idea of taking our clients and going, okay, picture yourself 12 months from now, you've got ABC. Slip your fingers into her finger slots, do that whole slip your
Yes,
body in, like embody that future you. And what are you seeing, hearing, feel? And when you bring them back to the current place, to the current date, I mean, you can hear in their voice, or if we're doing it over Zoom, you can see, or when we did it, at the retreat, you see the lightness. It's almost like you could physically see the weight lifted because they understand what that means for them. And so I guess I don't think we're quite to the point of receiving, but then that if you've already experienced it, it's also easier to receive when you get it because you already know
totally.
what that looks like.
Yeah, totally. Mm.
This also reminds me, I mean, we did Sorry Not Sorry in our first season, and this is sort of that same thing when we're talking about, um, not apologizing, not diminishing, right? Like that's Sorry Not Sorry. The
Right.
weird,
Sorry, can
yeah,
I just go back up here and ask,
right.
can I do that?
You know,
Ooh,
we
ooh,
do
that
not.
gives me so much confidence in handing that to you.
Yeah, exactly. You know what was interesting when we didn't talk about this on the retreat one? Remember in Laguna, we had the thing where if anybody said sorry, we said they had to say they were sexy. We did
Yes,
not have a lot of sorries at this last,
that's true.
right? I mean, I don't really remember any.
You're
Once or
right.
twice it happened right at the beginning, and our OGs from the first retreat were like, "You're sexy, not sorry," but we didn't have a lot of that, which kind of
So
speaks to those women. I'm not going to lie.
it's so interesting, and this is a quick tangent on this, but
Yeah.
it's usually happens when people cry. Women go, sorry, like they're sorry
Yes.
for making people uncomfortable. And what I
Yes.
wanted to go back and double down on was this very compassionate thing women do, and they automatically hand you a tissue is like, oh God, you're crying, let's dry that up.
Mm,
But like what I've learned in past retreats too, and working with different people, and a therapist taught me this, is like, let them look for it. Like, I mean, put it near them, but let them look for it. Don't do that, because it does create a, oh, I'm sorry, I'm crying, let me grab a tissue and keep going.
interesting.
And so it's something we'll come back to, but it's like it's an interesting thing. Like we women are just so hardwired to make everyone comfortable in
Yeah.
general. In general, a
Yeah.
lot of women are. And so there's this like, I'm sorry, now you have to watch me. I might be making you uncomfortable because now I'm having some feelings. So anyway,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
it's interesting. So yeah.
Interesting. Look at her, we're like,
Hmm.
another topic.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so okay. So do we go on? Let's go on and talk about the receiving. Maybe this is a good transition into this. How are
Yeah.
you at receiving? Or I let me ask differently. What has been your arc in receiving?
Mm. I mean, obviously, like what you and I want to talk about here too is this, like this thing that comes up where people block it. Like we started to talk about
Mm-hmm.
that. Like, I want to make $1 million, but like, could I do it? Like all the different beliefs. So my arc of receiving is interesting because in some ways I think I'm great at it, right? Like, oh, I asked for this. Yay, thank you. Like I think I don't know. If my mom's listening, she'll just laugh so hard because I was not that easy to give gifts to. I was very uncomfortable with like money spent on things that I didn't need. And that's not
Mm,
to say at all like I'm such a, noble person. It wasn't that. I kind of ruined their excitement to give us stuff, because I'd be like, well, I didn't need that. They're like, great, fun. I was a little kid,
yeah.
kind of just, I didn't ask for that. I got paid back from by that with Peter, but he started to do some of that too. Like, why do some kids get a lot and some kids don't? And this is weird. And we
Yeah.
don't need this. We don't need all this. However, when it comes to like, I don't know. I think I'm really genuinely good with gratitude and letting people, making people feel good about what they gave me. But
Hmm.
when I'm actually receiving it, that arc has taken me a long time. I don't know if it's an unworthiness, but maybe it is. I think there's a big part of my upbringing that I think is very common. I'm learning around like don't be too full of yourself. So
Mm.
compliments, I feel like I was either directly or indirectly taught to deflect those and downplay them. And it was very much into my adulthood when someone said, if someone gave you a gift, would you kind of put it down and like literally set it down and kind of go, you know? And I was thinking about that and the lessons I learned about doing that to my parents. And I was like, no, that would suck. So if someone gives you a compliment, thank them,
Yep.
thank them, and like acknowledge that they noticed something about you that's important to you. Um, so I've worked on that, and I notice I still sometimes deflect where people are like, "Oh wow, people really compliment it. You and Lisa are so good at this. Oh, we're a good team." Like, yeah, thanks, and put it back on them, right?
Mm.
Like, there's this tennis
Yeah.
match
Yep.
where
Yep.
like you don't want to hold the focus too long. It's a beach ball, and you throw it.
Yep.
And I'm trying to work on like, yeah, we worked really hard on this, and we think about this stuff, and this is like what we wanted. This is the vision we have, so thank you for saying that. And really just stick with thank you and don't downplay it.
Yeah.
And we've laughed about how women are like, thanks, it was $19, or
I mean,
like
I will say I do that, but I also like I don't.
it's a brag.
It is a brag. It's to me, it's
Yeah.
a brag. It's like, yeah, I've had this dress for 20 years. It's not me being like,
Hmm.
oh, boo, but oh no, don't look at me. It's like, no, yeah, I'm pretty
I,
proud of
I
this.
I sometimes like I've noticed I've gone into a comfortable place of not deflecting, but sharing a vulnerability while I'm trying to receive it. Like,
Ah,
really? Like, like
mm.
someone says, your hair looks great today. Thanks. I wasn't feeling that way. Thank you so much.
I did
I
that
needed that.
yesterday. Oh my God, that's what I did.
Yeah. So that that's just me like holding it and like holding it, but also being a little bit vulnerable,
Shaking.
going, thanks, I actually kind of needed that.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. Because here I was going to come all in like I'm pretty good at this, but I did that exact thing yesterday. I had people over, and there was a hairdresser here, and she was like, "And I want to tell you, I just love your hair." And I don't love my hair. I just don't. And so I both received it. It was like, oh my God, that means so much to me, especially from someone who's been doing hair for 35 years. Like I'm always a little self-conscious about that. But then I went on to explain all the rest of it too. So that is an interesting block that I wouldn't have thought about until you just mentioned.
Yeah. And so,
Hmm.
I mean, I want to go back to that feeling of unworthiness, because when we get the opportunity or the promotion or the, like for me, going from nonprofit salary to, like even, going into business for myself and like setting, what I wanted for an income and then actually asking for that was huge, huge,
Yeah.
huge, because there is, and I notice this with women so much, like, should I be making this much? Should I be working harder for this? Should I, like, they're not
Mm,
valuing what they bring and what they already came with and what their investment is. And I've been there, and I've coached women through this idea that, like, do I really deserve this? Or why did I get that? Why did I get asked to do that and the other people didn't? And there's a lot of questioning, right? So it definitely invites us to look at that and rise above it and like really trust. It's really just trusting, or it's like
mm.
trusting that, like, hey, I asked for it, I received it. Do I need to like go into my head about this completely and just live there and be like and question it, or can I like actually move forward with this and go, okay, this is a challenge, this is a stretch, but I got it because they see something in me that they value.
Yeah, no, I think you just nailed it. It is trusting and believing that people don't just hand anybody anything. I've because I've been listening to my election playlist a ton, and granted, this is after the election. Fingers crossed. I end with "The Man," and of course, we used that song a while back in our playlist, and that idea of like we're again, patriarchy always questions, does she deserve it? Has she done enough work? And so we might naturally as women have that inclination, but it has been amplified by patriarchy in always wondering if we deserve it. Did we do enough? Did we? And so I don't kind of want to blame the victim of that in that, and it is up to us to rise above it, to cultivate that trust in ourselves, that belief that if they said we deserved it, we deserved it. We worked hard, we got it, you know. So that might also be a future pacing situation for yourself, or almost a mental rehearsal. Like if you are out for a promotion, a new job, fill in the blank, it goes back to what you were saying, like visualize what's going to happen if you get it, so that when you get it, you can just receive it wholeheartedly.
Totally. I think one of the articles
Hmm.
we read, by she said something like receiving requires us to trust ourselves and our value really truly, stop questioning and start accepting. It's
Hmm.
not that questioning is ever a bad thing. It's just like if it's kind of gets you in that eddy of where you're spinning with it, you know, like just going back and forth, then you really are kind of self-sabotaging. And I know we supposedly don't believe in that, but I do believe that's a form of self-sabotage. Like you get it and then you start to like question why should I have this versus stepping into it. And that is that we've always been, misogyny and patriarchy has made it feel greedy and a little bold for women to ask for more than what
Well,
they
we haven't been
have and to
doing it for
settle.
that long,
Right.
right? I mean, we haven't been in the workplace. We haven't been asking for promotions. We haven't had our 50 years. 50
Yeah.
years. We were not born. I mean, we were 5 before that kind of stuff was available to women, you know.
Yeah.
So
And this,
I wonder if our daughters will feel differently, because our daughters, my daughter, your nieces,
mhm,
like
mhm,
they have not known a world, you know, whereas our moms were trying to figure it out all of a sudden what it would look
right.
like, you know,
Right.
whereas our younger generation, millennials, Gen Z, they've grown up with women who have worked through it a little farther than our moms had.
For
Maybe.
sure. For sure. I think, I mean, I definitely think in all generations, there's women who have just blown our minds with like, hey, I have a vision for this. I want this. When we
Yeah.
see this with artists all the time. And
Yeah.
I think that there's so much inspiration there. And that's just it's undoing internalized misogyny to know like,
Yeah.
not only can I ask for it, like here's the big the big secret about adulthood that we've all realized: everyone's faking it. So if that's true, if that's true, why can't we just go, okay, got this chance, what can I do with it? What help do I need to ask for? Goes back to asking. Like once you got it, you can keep asking,
Yep.
like keep asking for more until it becomes exactly, it fits the way, that gives you the most momentum. But it's like a really great way to cultivate trust in yourself.
Well, and to go back to the self-sabotaging or winning the game we're playing, you know, however you want to look at it, because I still think there's an
Mm.
aspect of winning the game you're playing. If we quote unquote don't believe it's self-sabotage, if you don't receive, or you start to question, do I deserve this? Then you are setting a low bar for yourself. So there is something there. The game you're playing is trying to play safe a little bit, but
Hmm.
to your, you know, there that's exhausting when you start
Yeah.
to spiral and you're in your head and you're questioning everything over and over and over again. It is exhausting. When you just say thank you and you move along with a hair compliment or a new job or a promotion, like life is just easier if
Yeah.
you just say thank you and celebrate. You know me, I'm big
Yes.
on celebrating. So there
No,
should be some
totally.
aspect of embodying and celebrating as well.
I think that moves beautifully into what we were going to talk about next, which is like cultivating that art of receiving. I think it does. I think celebration is the exact best way to put that. Like, because when I was working with that same client, we wanted to maximize. Okay, what went well with this? You ended up kind of doing it all without that role, without as much credit, right? But
Interesting.
how do you focus on your own contributions? And I think celebrating, one form of doing that is to, like, once a month at least, periodically either update your resume or like keep a brag sheet, or because we always talk about women don't brag enough, or
Yep.
like what am I most proud of? What are the contributions I've made in the places where it's important to me to make one? And that was huge for her to like really see the impact. That's kind of all she needed. I mean, beyond that, the next thing she went for, she got. But to see like all the ways that she contributes is really built that confidence. Like you, because we get confidence from doing, right? Like
Yep.
you actually did those things. So why wouldn't you go for the leadership role next time?
And I mean, I'm going to go back to what you just said. It's kind of all she needed. It is kind of all she needed. If she got the
Mhm.
next thing she went for, it's because she recognized her worth.
Right.
And I can imagine that she got a lot of kudos for what she did offer as a volunteer or whatever, not in a leadership role. And so you got to receive that too. You got to receive that people, even though you weren't maybe being paid or you weren't in the role you wanted, if you got good feedback, believe it. Again, I know I've said this on here before, but it's like people don't blow smoke. I mean, I suppose there's some people and the people you have to blow smoke to get them to do shit, but it's for the most part when people tell you you've done a good job or they give you great feedback, they mean it. And so just assume that and receive it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um and not diminish what you accomplish with, oh, it's nothing, oh, I love doing it, okay, all those things can
Right.
be true, but you don't have to share that.
Oh my gosh, I have a funny story about me doing that with this is just reminding me. And full disclosure, my internet's unstable, so I just had a great like frozen
You actually
view.
didn't
So
look as bad as you thought you looked. I'm going to tell you, you look like you were contemplating listening to me.
on your end, you were like
Oh.
you looked like you had a big point. So I'm sure it was great if I missed it all. Um, but the story this is reminding me of is the school my kids went to, K-8, kind of a small school. So we got to know the teachers really well, and they got to know our kids really well because they were with them for 2 or 3 years at a time. And um, at one point, this teacher, Linus, who was just, if any of my friends who had it, they're probably giggling just because he's such a deep
His
feeling,
name is
sweet
Linus.
soul. Yes.
I
And
love
he
that.
really, he just was so emotionally connected to our kids and in their
Mm.
development. And we were checking in about something with Peter. And Peter was a puzzle for people. He's so self-reliant and
Mm.
likes to be. And unlike my other two are so effusive and emotional, Peter is emotional, but as you know, kept it
Yeah.
close to the vest. So really neat when someone actually takes the time to unpack that. And we were having a conversation about, how he was trying to support Peter, but kind of push him to do a little bit more in this one project. And at the end, he said, I just have a compliment for you. I really want to tell you that he really listens to you. And we teachers notice, like you give him some great parenting, some great support and leadership. And he may not show you that he listens, but he really does repeat it and puts it into practice. And that makes an impression. We really notice like you're
And
one of
how
those
old was he?
parents, sixth grade.
Oh, okay.
And I
Oh no.
this is a funny story for me, but but in the context of this, like wow, like what was going on for me. It didn't just say thank you, Linus, that means a lot. I may have said that, but I didn't stop there. I
Oh
was like,
no.
oh Linus, just this morning I told Griffin to get in the fucking car, so I don't know. I like completely just wanted him to like, but as you know, this is a thing I have. It's like almost like a tick. If someone is seeing me so complimentary, I need them to have the full picture. I don't not necessarily
Mm.
disagree with what they're saying. Like, thanks for seeing that, but I also need you to know I'm an asshole too. You know, it was like this really funny reaction. And he was like startled and kind of like, oh, well, we don't all have good days or something like that. Like,
Oh.
because like the kids that morning were like, Griffin, he's always been like the one, like he can argue anything, and he
Mm.
was like, no, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, and I was like, get the fucking car. So we had to do carpool. Like I started off so patient, and then I just
Right,
devolved
right.
really fast.
Yep, yep.
Anyway, just totally sold myself out on that and made him uncomfortable. And it was like a big deal for him to give me this long thought out compliment, and I
Yeah.
completely just took it like, rah, rah, rah.
Well, I think there's another great tip around receiving, right? Is
Right?
that, again, when somebody, and you started with the kind of the story around giving gifts, but, if somebody is giving you a compliment, if somebody is giving you a gift, if somebody is offering to help, if you downplay it for your own ego,
Comfort?
comfort, yeah,
Yeah.
you've just fucked them. You know what I mean? Like that is just like so mean. You
It's
know what I
true.
mean? And I mean that's weird language. I admit that, but is that's what I feel like that sense because
Yes.
I used to say that to my mom. You know, I'm like if somebody is offering to help you, they want to help you. They're not doing they are doing it out of the kindness of their heart, and you saying no or deflecting it might hurt their feelings. Like so again, if you
I
can't focus
know.
on the me, focus on the we, you know.
In that case, I'm not even sure I hurt his feelings. I think I just made him feel very awkward
Right.
because I just went to this crass example. But either way, luckily with two more boys, we had a lot more chances to work well together.
Mm,
And every time after that, I was just waiting for another compliment so I could take it the right way. But that sure made my friends laugh really hard when I shared that.
I love it.
Yeah, I think there's also like Stacey Morgenstern is a mentor to both you and I in this world of coaching and like, kind of deeper transformational coaching. She
Yeah.
used to say at events like, and they had a whole event around step into your spotlight, stop staying away from your, like stop that, like kind of step in and fully receive. And that is hard to do. And there's all the things you got to do to get there, right? Have boundaries and work on your beliefs. But she said, I want you to practice next time someone compliments you. It wasn't thank you, because you and I are saying, like, say thank you, period, and like just
Yep.
receive it. She
Yep.
said, I challenge you for your response next time you receive a compliment to say, yes, it's true.
Ooh. That's like us asking them to say, I'm not sorry, I'm sexy. That's
Yes.
interesting. So did you ever do that? Because I wasn't in Spotlight, so I've never heard that. I love that. But what
I
did you
feel
ever do
like
it?
I feel like my friend Beth, who is good
Yeah,
at that. She's good at like I know, isn't it cute? Like I know, I love it. And
I can totally
she
see
got
her doing that.
yeah. So I think where and when I can, I'll be like, thanks. I'm really liking this, or I'm feeling really good about that. Like I try that.
That's a nice
I
one.
have joked around trying the yes, or it's true. Oh, when I was with my aunt in New Mexico, Beth and I were there, and I told her that, and my aunt started doing that. My uncle's like, I don't know about this. She's like, it's true.
Yeah, well, and I think that goes along with my and you and I've talked about this. We haven't talked about this in a while, but like I am not a fan of the word brag because to me, brag is somebody looking for attention. But if you know you're good at something and somebody compliments you, it's owning your greatness. You know, that's what I think of. I don't think of when when somebody compliments you, you go, "Thank you so much. Yeah, I've been working hard on this," or "Yeah, I feel good about this." That's not a brag. That's a just owning. That's a fact. You know, it's a fact. And even if you don't fully believe it, if somebody else is telling you, it's still a fact. It's a fact to them. You know,
Right.
so I don't love the word brag, but I love owning greatness. You know,
I think the reason I love brag, and Elijah's the one that brought this to us from a retreat she did with Laura, but
yeah.
was the instead of I'm sorry, say I'm sexy, but the brag thing that she always kind of brought to me first, and I know that she gets that from Mama Gina and like a lot of
Yep.
that, but is it's to make up for the amount of
Mm,
deflection that women have been conditioned to do. So you're
okay.
right. It's not, it has a sort of an unsavory connotation, but it more is just like, hey, I'm going to get in the habit of sharing and celebrating with my friends
Which
something
I
that's
love. I mean,
yeah.
we haven't done this in a while on our thread with Elijah and Melissa, but I always love that. I just what I wasn't fond of is couching it as a brag. To me, it was just like
I
come in
I
and
was just
fucking
gonna
say
say
it.
that. I was
Yeah,
just
just
gonna say
come in
that.
and
Like,
be like,
why even
hey,
say that? Because
yeah,
guess what? I'm rocking it. I'm rocking the project I'm on today, and I'm feeling good about it. I just did a
exactly. Because to
damn
me,
good
it's
interview.
already
Or
diminishing it then. If you have to tell
exactly,
me what you're doing, then you're already kind of playing small. You know, like
yeah,
I'm going to tell you I'm doing this. I feel uncomfortable, you know. But
yeah.
I
I see that
do
on Facebook a lot. People going, permit me to brag, but my
the
kid did
humble
this.
brag. I'm like, fuck
Ugh,
it. No, just
just
tell the story, you
brag,
know.
brag.
Brag. Yeah, but thank you for that share because I don't think I knew that around. I do like the idea, but again, I'd still say step into the greatness. It's if you're trying to make up for lost time, I get that. But just don't diminish it. To me, labeling it diminishes it.
Yeah.
My
I
story,
know
I'm
it
sticking
is
to it.
neat for you and I at these retreats though to see someone for like the first time just kind of step into like I'm a runner.
Yeah.
Like I'm really good at this and I never said
Yeah.
that before. I love that.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was so fun. And again, the absolute joy that spreads on someone's face when they share that. I mean, even when we're doing it in text, again, with like Elijah or Melissa, it's like I can hear their voice when they're telling us something that they're really happy about or that they're really proud of. And it just, you can hear the lightness, quote unquote, hear the lightness when they share. I
Oh,
mean,
that's
there's
such
such joy in owning what you are good at and receiving the love.
Oh, and
Yeah.
you did that beautiful post recently. You're like, what are you good at? What's something you're good at? And I started to be like, I was about to tell you some things I'm good at. And so I was like, no, what really wants to come out is like, I'm really good at organizing pantries. And it felt so good and silly and fun at the same time to be like, maybe you didn't know that about me.
That,
Um,
if I may,
yeah.
that was an interesting post because I just randomly did that one day. Somebody took it and they credited me, but I don't even know who the person was. But she didn't even like share my post. She cut and pasted my entire thing and put it on her page. And then someone else asked to share it. And I thought, that is really interesting that, that really struck a chord with a couple of women. And then to watch then go in and watch their friends respond and say, "Oh my gosh, this is such a great question." Oh my, again, in this instance, I'm not bragging, but it was so fun to watch people like own that question and answer that question on these threads of people I don't even know. It was really
I'm,
cool.
I'm so tempted to do that sometime too. I thought about that. Like, what a great engagement, like that it would be fun to like have random, people that I'm barely in touch with, but on Facebook with tell me that stuff. Cause it would be so interesting to know. Like
Yeah,
I, I would have no idea that someone's really good at, roller skating and,
right.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay. So we've talked about asking, and it's important to know exactly what it is you want for real, and then asking for it and asking for it without apology. And then, and then like how to receive it. And one other thing, and I don't know if this fits or not, so you can tell me if it doesn't, but like one thing I've noticed, especially coaching entrepreneurs as you and I both do, is entrepreneurs really have to think about like, okay, what's worth your time? Like what is the vision you have for your life? What is going to make all of this worth it? Do you
Mm-hmm.
really do have to kind of play with like a dollar sign at first? Like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
so I want to make this much and I want to like work these kind of hours. And you're really good at this. And I've also like got my own version of this. It's like, okay, block that out in your calendar, like make room for this thing you say you want.
Yeah.
And what I always say is too, like, what's your plan for that income when it comes in? Because those are
Yes.
two places you can block the things you say you want. If you don't
Yep.
actually have time for what you say you want, energetically, it's going to be much harder to attract it. And if you don't have a plan for that, you may bring it in, but you may never feel it. You may
Yep.
never feel the like impact of it. It might just, immediately kind of get spent or go into bills. And like there's ways to actually pave the way for the things you want. And it's really worth doing. And it's a bit of planning. It's not as complicated as it sounds.
No, and I think we've talked about this in when we've talked about money before too. If you don't know where your money's going, or if you're always putting it towards bills or responsibilities, and there's no place for fun, the money's not going to come. That is going to be a block. Again, to quote Kelly Campbell, I quote her a lot, but she does listen. So, is you have to count your money. You could have all these great ideas and you could be, as she calls it, sending out ships and the ships are coming in with the gold. But if you don't count it and understand what you have and where it's going, it will just slip through your fingers. So yes, I think there has to be intentionality behind receiving as well. Be open to receiving and then be intentional with whether it's a compliment that then motivates you to keep doing what you're doing, or it's a reflection on what you do well and so you up level that, or it's money, or it's love, whatever it might be. There, receive, but then be intentional with what you do with that gift that you've been given.
Mm, I love that. All right, is it time for a song?
It is
Okay, so we've
indeed.
covered all that. So, okay, there it is. I lost where I wrote this down. Okay, so we we were looking for, we always look for songs with our themes and we don't always have a natural like connection. Sometimes we're really reaching.
Right.
So what are we going with?
You Get What You Give by the New Radicals, which again, I just want to put like that. This, I always liked this song, but knowing that this was Bo Biden's song, like that, this
I
song got
know.
a little new life in 2020. And so now I kind of can't think of it without thinking about him. But I think this is a perfect song. So You Get What You Give. Go
I
ahead.
mean, and also I at the wedding I was just recently at, the 2 nights before the wedding, I saw father of the bride and the youngest, like the youngest daughter, not the bride, the youngest sister, singing like the words of this song to each other really loud when we were all kind of hanging
Oh,
out at the bar. And they were like, this was one of the songs during COVID. They just kept playing and they were and then it turned out that was a father-daughter dance at the wedding and the
oh,
band did it perfectly and it just so it's
mm,
like extra special to me now that
I
it's just
love
such
that.
a beautiful positive message. So the line that goes, don't give up, you've got them. Oh no, I know. It's yeah, because it's all about giving up and claiming what's yours. Don't give up,
Yeah.
you got the music in you, one dance left, this world is going to pull through. It's about believing in yourself and the power of asking for what you want.
Yeah, and then you've got the dreamer's disease, you're too strong to lose. Again, that strength, that resilience that we all have makes it so much easier when you can grab onto it to ask and receive exactly what you deserve. You are not going to get the things you don't deserve when you ask for them with clarity and all of that. So it's perfect.
Mm. Mm, perfect.
Yay.
Um, okay, so we've covered a lot. Asking for what you want, to learning how to receive it.
Can I ask the viewers or the listeners for something? And then
Hmm.
we will receive as we get it. We haven't asked for this in a while, but we would love it, especially if you listen on Apple. If you could give us a review. It's been a minute. We've got all 5-star reviews, but it's been a minute since we've gotten some new ones. So we'd love to read those because they do light us up. We absolutely receive. Spotify only lets you give stars, but if you can give us a 5-star review on Spotify as well, we do go in and we look and we receive, and it lights us up to keep doing what we're doing. We're going to keep doing what we're doing regardless, but it's nice to have the receiving end of it as well.
Great modeling. That is fantastic. And then on top of that, I think our challenge for listeners this week also is ask for something. Think of something you
Mm,
want that you can ask for, and then notice how you react when you receive it. We would love to hear about it.
yeah.
You can always email us. You can go to our socials and comment there. There's always Lisa does great posts throughout the week that this drops. But anywhere you can find us, there's ways to reach us. We would love to hear about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to say the thing I don't like to say, but let's hear those brags, ladies.
Yeah. All right. Well,
All
that's good.
right.
And next week, we'll talk about getting out of your head. So it's just another part of this series of really identifying your needs and your wants and asking for what you really desire and getting out of your head and receiving it and enjoying it. So,
I didn't even realize we were making this a series, but it is exactly right. So, yeah, love it. All right, everybody. We'll be back next week. Thanks for listening.
bye.